Hands down, one of the best movies ever made, which I believe is criminally underrated, at least in this day and age, is Back to the Future. Now, I know that some of you fans would disagree with me, especially considering it's ahead of its time and has also stood the test of time. However, I don't tend to see it as widely discussed as it used to be back in the 1980s. For instance, many of the film's references are solely written to appeal to the 1980s and 1950s, with the target audience being my Gen X parents. Co-written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, with Steven Spielberg, who played a crucial role in getting the film made as its executive producer, here is my take on why Back to the Future is one of the best films ever made. As always, let's talk about some of the major characters. Beginning with Marty McFly, Eric Stoltz was originally cast to play the comically lighthearted teenager, but that's precisely what Marty is supposed to be, which is why Eric Stoltz was ultimately fired for playing the role too seriously and replaced by Michael J. Fox, whose lighter approach better fit the character. Well, Michael J. Fox was the first choice to play Marty McFly, actually, but he was initially unavailable due to scheduling conflicts with his hit TV series Family Ties. The role was given to Eric Stoltz, but after several weeks of filming, it became clear Stoltz's interpretation wasn't aligning with the comedic tone Zemeckis envisioned. With some logistical maneuvering, Michael J. Fox was brought in, and they reshot nearly all of Stoltz's scenes, an expensive but game-changing decision. Next up is Doc Brown, portrayed by Christopher Lloyd, who propels the story forward with his creation of the iconic DeLorean time machine. The dynamic between Doc Brown and Marty is central to the film's charm, blending Doc's eccentric genius with Marty's quick wit and grounded perspective. Their friendship adds heart to the high-concept time travel adventure, but it's not complete without other characters such as Lorraine, played by Leah Thompson, and George McFly, played by Crispin Glover, whose younger selves played a crucial role in the past. Biff Tannen, played by Thomas F. Wilson, is the film's classic bully whose interference drives much of the conflict. Each of them adds depth and humor, enriching the story beyond just the sci-fi elements. If you haven't seen Back to the Future yet, I highly recommend starting with the original, because once you do, you'll almost certainly be hooked and eager for more. For more context, the movie is about a teenager named Marty McFly who accidentally travels back in time to the 1950s in a DeLorean time machine invented by his eccentric friend Doc Brown. While stuck in the past, Marty meets his younger parents and must make sure they fall in love or risk erasing his own existence. It's a mix of sci-fi, comedy, and adventure that's both clever and full of heart.
Back to the Future it's a human story. I mean, there's lots of movies say, well, it's a science fiction movie. Well, yeah, there's science fiction in it, but it's not a movie about technology. It's a movie about this family. And movies about families always resonate. It's also a movie that captures a moment that every human being experiences, which is the realization, oh my God, my parents were once children. Back to the Future captures all that.
The co-writers, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, came up with the idea of Back to the Future when Gale found his father's high school yearbook and wondered whether he would have been friends with his dad if they had gone to school together. He shared the idea with Zemeckis, and the concept of a teenager traveling back in time to meet his parents in high school began to take shape. This premise became the foundation for the film, which they developed into the iconic 1985 movie directed by Zemeckis and produced by Steven Spielberg. Yeah, because I'm sure everybody is interested in knowing whether their teenage self would get along with their parents back in the day, right? Totally, because there's nothing more pressing in the grand scheme of time travel than settling the burning question of whether you'd high-five your dad over lunch in the cafeteria or awkwardly avoid him in the hallway. No, I'm kidding. I genuinely think this is the best idea ever. Anyway, after Gale and Zemeckis fleshed out the concept, they wrote the screenplay for Back to the Future. The script, however, initially struggled to find a home. Over 40 studios rejected it, with some claiming it wasn't edgy enough, in an era where risque comedies like Porky's were in vogue. while Disney turned it down because they thought the subplot about Marty's mom falling in love with him was too controversial for a family audience. Eventually, the project caught the attention of Steven Spielberg, who had previously worked with Zemeckis on Used Cars and I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Steven Spielberg believed in the story and came on board as a producer, which gave the film the credibility it needed to move forward. Universal Pictures agreed to greenlight the project and casting began. From there, production rolled on, filled with challenges like perfecting the DeLorean time machine's look, creating the lightning strike sequence, and crafting Alan Silvestri's now iconic score. When Back to the Future hit theaters on July 3, 1985, it was an instant hit, becoming the highest-grossing film of the year and cementing its place as a pop culture phenomenon. The plotline of Back to the Future is a masterclass in storytelling, seamlessly blending time travel, humor, drama, and adventure into a perfectly structured narrative. Here's why it's so unique and why I consider it near perfect. The idea of traveling back in time to meet your parents as teenagers is both innovative and deeply relatable. It plays on universal questions about identity, family, and the choices that shape who we become. Number 1, the story uses time travel not just as a gimmick, but as a tool to explore relationships and personal growth in a meaningful way. Number 2, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis crafted a script that is often studied for its efficiency and structure. Every plot point, from Marty's skateboarding skills to the lightning strike at the clock tower, serves a purpose. The setups and payoffs are tightly interwoven. Some examples of that are Marty's father, George, who learns to stand up for himself, creating a satisfying character arc. Also, the photograph of Marty and his siblings fading serves as a visual countdown to heighten the tension. Finally, the climax combines emotional stakes, Marty's existence, with action, the lightning strike, in a way that keeps audiences on the edge of their seats. Number 3, the characters are simply iconic and relatable. Marty McFly is the everyman hero who is cool, resourceful, and flawed. Doc Brown is the eccentric genius whose passion and heart make him unforgettable, and supporting characters like George and Lorraine McFly have depth and growth, making their arcs rewarding to watch. Number 4, the conclusion ties up the story neatly while leaving room for future adventures. Marty's life is improved, his parents are happier, and he's learned valuable lessons about courage and responsibility. At the same time, Doc's sudden appearance with a new time-traveling adventure teases just enough to keep the audience hooked. And number 5, Back to the Future captures the spirit of both the 1980s and 1950s, blending nostalgia with forward-thinking ideas. Its themes of innovation, self-discovery, and the power of individual choice resonate across generations. The DeLorean, Great Scott, and 1.21 gigawatts are etched into pop culture forever. Overall, the plotline of Back to the Future isn't just unique, it's a beautifully crafted journey that engages audiences on every level. It's a reminder of the magic of storytelling, where imagination, heart, and meticulous writing come together to create something truly timeless. Back to the Future is filled with clever references and Easter eggs, many of which have become iconic in their own right. Let's start with Huey Lewis and then explore a few more notable ones. 1. Huey Lewis, the frontman of Huey Lewis and the News, makes a cameo as the judge at Marty's high school band audition. In a humorous twist, Lewis's character rejects Marty's band, the Pinheads, for being too darn loud, even though they're playing The Power of Love, a song performed by Huey Lewis and the News for the film's soundtrack. The song, The Power of Love, itself became a massive hit and is forever tied to the movie, setting the tone for Marty's cool, adventurous vibe. 2. When Marty arrives in 1955, wearing modern underwear with Calvin Klein stitched on it, Lorraine assumes it's his name. This joke plays on the growing prominence of designer branding in the 1980s. 3. In 1985, the mall where Marty meets Doc Brown is called Twin Pines Mall. After Marty travels to 1955, he accidentally runs over one of Old Man Peabody's prize pine trees. When he returns to 1985, the mall is renamed Lone Pine Mall, a subtle but clever nod to Marty's actions in the past. 4. In 1985, Marty's hometown mayor was Goldie Wilson. When Marty travels back to 1955, he inadvertently inspires young Goldie, a restaurant worker, to pursue politics by suggesting he'd make a great mayor. It's a humorous and optimistic example of how small actions can have significant ripple effects. 5. In the iconic dance scene at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, Marty performs Johnny Be Good, a song by Chuck Berry. Marvin Berry, the band's leader, calls his cousin Chuck during the performance, implying that Marty indirectly inspired one of rock and roll's greatest hits. 6. Doc Brown's inspiration for the flux capacitor, the core of his time machine, came from a simple accident, hitting his head while hanging a clock. This backstory adds humor and a touch of humanity to the eccentric inventor. 7. The Hill Valley Clock Tower, struck by lightning in 1955, is a key plot point. The flyer given to Marty by his girlfriend Jennifer in 1985 becomes critical when Doc and Marty realize they can harness the lightning to power the DeLorean. The clock tower also serves as a recurring symbol across the trilogy, representing the connection between time periods. 8. The DeLorean itself is a nod to 1980s pop culture. Its futuristic design, complete with gull-winged doors, made it a natural fit for a time machine. Doc Brown humorously explains his choice. If you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? These references and details enrich the film, making it an absolute goldmine for attentive viewers and fans of clever humor. Each element adds a layer of charm to a story already bursting with imagination and wit. So, there you have it. That's why Back to the Future is, without a doubt, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not just the clever writing, the iconic characters, or the timeless humor. It's the way everything comes together so perfectly. The movie is packed with heart, adventure, and just enough nostalgia to make you smile, no matter how many times you watch it. Whether it's Marty shredding Johnny Be Good on stage, Doc Brown's wild enthusiasm about the space-time continuum, or the small details like Twin Pines becoming Lone Pine Mall, every moment feels carefully crafted and memorable. It's a film that stood the test of time because it's more than just a story about time travel. It's a celebration of family, courage, and the idea that small choices can change everything. To me, Back to the Future isn't just a movie, it's a perfect masterpiece. Oh, and I can't stress this enough. Great Scott! Thank you so much for watching. This video took a lot of time to make, so I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe. And please make sure to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. More quality videos like this one coming soon. Once again, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.